Welcome, everyone. Awesome to see you all in the chat. Again, this is the second day of Anatomy of an Activist. We're really excited to have you all here. We're going to do a little bit of a recap, but just to introduce ourselves, my name is Laura Johnson. I currently live in Long Beach, California. I am the World Ocean Day Youth Advisory Council Coordinator and a marine science educator. I have worked with Madison for quite some time now, and I've recently started working with Apoorva on this project and some things over at the Big Blue and You, which is kind of our great unifier here. It's the organization that all three of us have worked with. So if you guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Okay, so I'm Madison. I am in Florida right now. So I am a youth executive intern with the Big Blue and You. I have been for a few years now. That's where I met Laura. I'm also a keeper and wildlife rehabilitator. Went to school for marine bio, so I've been involved in activism for the majority of my life. And yeah, I just recently met Apoorva to work on this project as well. And like Laura mentioned, we're all part of that organization, the Big Blue and You.
So hi everyone, super great to meet you all. My name is Apoorva, I'm from New Jersey, and I've been involved in environmental activism and ocean conservation activism, particularly for the last 3 or 4 years now. I'm the founder of Youthify, which is a youth-led organization that aims to provide a unifying platform for youth environmentalists. I'm also a communications intern with Big Blue and You, and that is also how I met Laura and Madison. So we're all super excited to get to know you guys a bit better today and to kind of dive deeper into this concept of the anatomy of an activist. So just to kind of recap what we talked about yesterday on our first call, we essentially introduced this concept of the anatomy of an activist. And we really believe that to mean, what exactly is an activist, kind of coming down to different ways that you can take action as an activist. And the way that we sort of conceptualized that was as the heart, the hands, and the feet. So the heart is you personally as an individual activist. It's your individual actions that you can take and do essentially independent of everyone else. So it's things like learning, more about environmental issues. It's things like talking to your friends and family, educating yourself, and being aware of things as they're changing, as well as keeping an open mind and, welcoming new perspectives into your narratives about, issues that don't necessarily affect you or issues that do affect you, and kind of understanding how you can have a more multifaceted and holistic understanding of the way that a lot of these things work. So we talked about what it means to be an activist and how you can be an activist at an individual level. So today we're definitely going to be talking much more deeply about how to actually take action and how to use this framework for the anatomy of an activist to sort of expand and grow your impact as an activist. So, cool to see someone from Peru in the chat. But yeah, so that's kind of what it means to be an activist on an individual level. And then Laura's going to talk a little bit and recap what it means to be an activist at a community level.
Yes, so what we talked about yesterday, again, was more activist theory and kind of the concepts behind what it means to be an activist. So today, like Apoorva said, we're going to be more action-based, but community action definitely has to do with identifying your niche and realizing that a community can mean a lot of things. So it could be, any after school activities that you participate in, any sports teams that you are on, any religious groups that you're a part of, any of your neighbors, any of your family members. There are so many different communities that we are all a part of, even though we might not recognize them as a place that we go to talk about issues like ocean conservation or climate action and so on and so forth. So we talked a lot about how you can spread these messages of conservation within the communities, and by utilizing your own unique strengths and the unique things that you are able to do in your life, and kind of use those as leverage to be able to spread your message further. And then from community action, obviously the next step would be global action. So I'm going to hand it off to Madison so she can talk more about that.
Yes, so we definitely took it to the next step. I know on an individual level, it seems kind of hard to think that you can create global change, but that's definitely something we went over. So definitely being informed of issues that are outside of your community or outside of your country, because everything affects you. Whether you live there, whether it's a direct impact, everything has an effect on our global ecosystems, which then of course affects our global economy. So definitely being informed, making sure that what you are reading about and sharing is, you know, factual information, and learning about the tools that you can use to localize global issues and take those global issues that you are learning about, that you are passionate about, that you're concerned about, and bringing them into your own community, and taking individual actions in yourself to help further those global causes. And of course, today, like we mentioned, we'll be going over some real tangible actions that you can take to affect change in all three of these aspects of activism. So to start us off, we are going to go into some breakout rooms, and we're going to be discussing what you think taking action means for you. More specifically, what action would look like in your community, in your country, in your situation, because not everyone is capable of doing the same things, taking the same actions. So yeah, we want you guys to discuss what activism and action means for you, what that looks like, what that feels like for you. So we're going to split you guys up into some breakout rooms, and then we're going to all join back and discuss what we talked about.
And we want to make sure this is super interactive. We want to make sure you guys are kind of utilizing this time as a networking space as well. Get to know the people you're in your breakout rooms with. Really talk specifics if you can. We want to really start that conversation here. So Apoorva, if you don't mind splitting them up.
Yep, just about making the breakout rooms. So you should all be receiving an invitation to join one of the rooms in just a moment.
Am I back? Can you see me?
Yep.
Strange. Oh, God. There we go. Okay, I got put into a breakout room, so I left, and then I didn't see myself. And I was like,
Yeah, I don't know.
Our tech room is in a room all by himself. Our tech.
That's what kept happening last time, but the guy last time just didn't join.
Yeah, like there's no way to not assign people to the rooms. Like if you're not a host, like I can't assign myself. Like I can just pick a room to join, and I can't assign Laura because she's host. But because you're co-host, Madison, for some reason, like you get included in that. So I just put you and volunteer in the same room because
Okay,
I figured
I'm trying to move our tech host to the main meeting, but
okay, someone else is hopping in as well.
yes, so we'll assign him to student room 1. I feel like I'm out of breath. Like I started getting out of breath when I started speaking. I was like,
I definitely do that. Just like talk too fast and then it goes downhill from there.
I've also been hitting this, which is not good. I'm quitting though. Haha.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Ugh, asthma.
Okie dokie.
How long are we giving them in this one?
What else? Like, what other slides do we have? Like,
I feel like we can give them a decent amount of time.
yeah, I think like after this, it's just like each of our sections, right? So,
And then like 2 more breakout rooms. So I think we could definitely give them some more time on this.
Yeah.
We can discuss what we think like our answer is as well, to like take up some more time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe after this we'll just come back, debrief, like each of us can kind of talk through what it means for us, and then we can like field stuff from the chat as well. Assuming there is stuff in the chat.
Yeah, there's definitely less people today.
Yeah.
But I'm happy at least Andrea came back.
I think that girl, oh, is she not here anymore? No, Noor. I think she was here yesterday.
Was she?
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't remember.
Possibly one of the.
Victor!
Where's Victor?
I feel like I need to know what a rapporteur is. Like,
Look it up.
yeah, right, yeah. Oh.
It's French, I think.
A person appointed by an organization to report on the proceedings of its meetings.
Oh, so he was like an investigator. How'd we do?
That's interesting.
For sure.
He was a spy.
The post that I commented on, let me see if I can find it. He posted like a carousel.
Yeah, I saw
him. Oh, I went the wrong way.
Right.
But you get the idea, like
of him in the meeting.
Yeah, in a bunch of meetings, not ours, but like.
Oh, okay.
I mean, honestly, one of them might have been ours. Like,
I'm surprised he was talking that much then, because he like really wanted to talk like about a lot of things, like things that were not relevant.
do any of you guys follow the like coral gardeners on like social media?
Coral gardener. I follow Coral Restoration. Oh, someone else is coming in.
They just have like a very aesthetic feed.
I'm joining. I'm gonna assign them.
They've been in there for like what, 4-ish minutes now?
Roughly. So I just moved. Someone else just joined, so they just popped in.
We can give it till 25 after the hour, maybe.
What time is it?
It's like 2:20 for me.
Okay.
So maybe like another 5 minutes. I think would be good. And then, yeah, basically I do. Okay, so if we can time the second set of breakout rooms so that like I can hop off quickly and do this call. Mm-hmm. Really nice.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, you guys.
We can stall.
Okay. Yeah. So I will try.
Only we had Victor.
Yeah, we'll just let him talk the whole time.
Honestly, yeah, that
would have worked. It would have worked.
It would have worked perfectly.
No, yeah, because I need like 15 minutes. But
I'm really curious as to what his breakout rooms were like.
I don't know. I think
because I was in the first one.
Oh, okay.
And I could barely cut him off to let someone else speak. So I'm really curious as to.
I don't imagine he's giving a lot of other people a lot of time to like express things.
He's like Bill. He reminds me of Bill a lot, like a kind of person who has ADD, ADHD, but doesn't know that they have ADD, ADHD.
Like a bulldozer personality.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, so we'll bring them back at 25 after, and then maybe like we can talk or like essentially stall till like 30 after. And
what
then
time do you need to hop off?
3, so that's in 40 minutes basically.
We can talk for a while about this, and then we each have our own slide, and then 2 more breakout rooms. So I think it should be okay.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, Apoorva, your like slide for your call to action is first anyway, so you don't necessarily have to talk for like a long time after that anyway.
Yeah, so hopefully it'll be fine. I just don't want to be like done with the breakout rooms and then I have to leave. Like that would be very not good.
Yeah.
I think based on like how much time we need to take up totally, like I think it should be fine anyways. Like just for like the general sort of 2-hour thing. Like we have to kind of do that either way. So I did not plan for this.
Person.
No, that's okay.
Oh no. Why did they let the dogs
Wait.
out? I have to mute myself really fast because we have two huge Rottweilers that love to look at my cats through the window, but they like bang on the window and like go crazy and bark, and it's really fucking loud. And they just let the dogs outside. I have all my windows.
That's fun.
Mm-hmm. So if you like, I'll try to prepare for it. If you hear like a huge thud, they're like 150 pounds.
Oh my God.
Big boys.
Girls, they're ladies.
They're
Big
ladies.
ladies.
Big girls, big ladies.
Oh my
They're
God.
so sweet, but like their barks, that'll scare the shit out of anyone.
Big old boofing.
Good.
The small whale.
I call them bears because they really do look like bears. Like their heads are massive.
I love Rottweilers.
Me too.
Cute though. They're like they look so like ferocious, but they're actually just like total
Well,
sweet.
they have like the big blocky heads. They're just giant, but their eyes are like tiny and super far apart.
Yeah.
All just like stuffing between the ears, you know?
I love because their heads are so like meaty. I love to just like right
Yeah.
here. I'm like, yeah. They love to sit by the pool too, so they're both like sunbathing right now.
Okay, really quick. I'm gonna go pee and then we can let them in.
Okay.
Okay. My like tiny little puppy just met like a big Rottweiler on a walk, and this massive creature was like terrified of this.
I
Like,
love that when that happens. I'm like,
no, he was like, he's also like a puppy. He's only like a year old, and she was just like, play with me, and she was just like running all around. He was
I
like,
want attention. What
yeah.
kind of dog?
She is a Maltese, Shih Tzu, and Poodle mix.
Oh my god.
It's like she's just fur, like all
Yeah.
fur. There's like nothing else going on. There's no brain cells.
No, no brain cells, just hair. That's how I feel sometimes.
No, but this dog was like so scared. Like he jumped on his like dad to like say like get me out of here, pick me up.
They need to leave.
Dog. And she's like, play with me. It's like so funny. Oh my goodness.
Dogs are so strange sometimes.
So strange.
How are you afraid of that?
I think they got him when it was like the middle of the pandemic, so he's like not well socialized. So he's just like, what is this tiny creature like running around?
Yeah, I've never seen that before.
Okay, you want to let him in?
Yeah.
Oh wait, we have.
Why did it go to 120 seconds?
I don't know. I think that was what it was set at. I can fix it next time.
We can. I think we can just start pulling people back in too, if we want. Why do I have no access to click on these people anymore?
Yeah, once you
you
put it in that like end thing, it just like gets stuck.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why Zoom is like this.
Okay, well we have.
People will probably start coming back in anyways.
Yeah, people are starting to come back in. Okay. The shit on it is so uncomfortable. Do we have people?
You guys, I brought a much bigger glass of water today. She's large.
I have my giant.
Very nice.
Gotta stay hydrated. Okay.
Hydrate or dihydrate, you know what they say.
Is that what they say?
I don't know. I think John Mulaney said it. Or like someone yelled it at John Mulaney, something like that.
Even better.
Okay, I think we're just waiting on that last room.
We have like 10 seconds left until it kicks him out anyway.
Did one of y'all say hydrate or dihydrate? Is that what y'all were saying?
That's me.
We would say that, like, I work with like different kids with different camps, and that's what we would say, all the kids, like in the summer we'd be like hydrate or dihydrate.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Are they all, is everybody back?
I think so.
Okay, awesome. So how did that go? Did everybody have like a good time? We want to make sure that we're giving you guys enough time. So definitely utilize the chat if you guys have anything you want to say to us. But we want to hear from you if you guys had any really good discussions about what taking action means for you, specifically in your community, in your life. So if anybody who wants to share, you can go ahead and use the raise your hand feature, take yourself off mute, say whatever you want. But if you're not comfortable doing that, you can also put it in the chat as well.
Yeah, I guess I can go, just talking about some of the work that I've done in my community. So as a young elementary student, I founded this organization called Voices, and we did a lot of work for wildlife conservation around the world. And we held lessons for younger students about the importance of environmentalism, and we did a lot of hands-on activities with them, whether that's planting trees or starting a garden or picking up trash or recycling and things like that. So those are kind of the activities that I've done in my own community specifically. So yeah, we just kind of talked about things like that.
That's awesome.
That actually sounds so cool. Did anybody else kind of like talk about things that you've already done, or actions that you like would like to take in the future? And feel free to put stuff in the chat if you don't feel like coming off of mute.
Okay.
Someone's raising their hand. Feel free to come off of mute.
Thank you, Addison or Laura. To me, action is actually walking the talk. We often, as a policymaker or as an advocate or as an activist, we often talk a lot and we don't do much. We don't do much work in action. We don't do much. So that's the biggest thing. So walking the talk is for me the biggest example of action, and that means the action to me.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Because it's really easy to, say one thing, but to actually, implement that into your own life and like practice what you preach. I definitely agree. That's definitely like, you're taking action, you're taking the next step rather than to just share this information. You're really gonna, utilize it and make real change in yourself and hopefully in your community as well.
Yeah, really fighting the notion of an armchair activist,
Yeah.
term that gets thrown around every now and again. One thing that a couple of people brought up in our session yesterday was when talking about social media and sharing all of this stuff is super awesome, but the key is turning that awareness into action. So I definitely agree with that. Does anybody else have anything that they would like to share? Yeah. Go ahead, take yourself off mute.
Hello, everyone. It's so nice to be here. One thing that I'm currently not struggling with, but kind of trying to figure out is I'm hosting an all-girls environmental program this summer. And my thought process behind it is I want them to take action after what we're going to teach them. So we're going to be hosting sessions on climate, agriculture, energy, oceans and freshwater, and waste and pollution. So my basic philosophy is kind of teaching them the science behind the actual environmental processes, the problems that are going on. But I'm kind of struggling with how to make them take action. I'm hosting some like entrepreneurial sessions as well, but it's just kind of um, hard to measure the change or really see if it does affect them in any way. So that's currently what I hope I can be able to achieve, to actually inspire people to take action through these programs.
I totally love that. I think that sounds like such a cool idea and would definitely love to hear more about that. So feel free to reach out to me and I would love to chat more about that. But I think one of the best ways that we can actually get people to take action is through kind of a framework like this. So starting with something that's very simple and achievable. So things like individual actions, educating yourself or taking some kind of small step that really just involves you as a person. So maybe it's finding one way to live your life a little bit more sustainably. And then you can kind of take that and build on it and expand to, maybe asking people in your community to take that same action that you did. And then kind of slowly keep expanding that until it's your region and your country, and then finally your world, right? So I think it's really important that you give people somewhere small to start. I think that's very important, is that people have those like initial small successes with environmental work and with environmental actions and sustainable actions, that they feel like they've achieved something, even if it's small and doesn't have the hugest impact on the entire world. If it's something that can have a meaningful impact for the individual, then it's still something that I feel like is going to keep them going and enable them to keep growing that impact after your program is finished.
Thank you so
And
much.
just to go off of what Apoorva said, definitely giving them, small individual actions. And I think that definitely, like she said, keeps them going. But once you start, say something as simple as, carrying a metal straw, then it kind of leads them into, well, what else can I swap out for that? Maybe it's a toothbrush. And I think hopefully this presentation will definitely help you gain a little like more like ideas for that, because we're definitely going to be diving deep into, like specific actions at an individual, community, and global level that hopefully that will help you as well. But I love what you're doing. If you want to put info for that in the chat, please do, because we'd love to keep tabs on that. That sounds awesome.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
and definitely echoing what Apoorva and Madison have already said. I also would love it if you could, Apoorva said in the chat, if anybody else has any ideas, definitely put them in the chat as well. But does anybody else have anything that they want to share? You guys are all super awesome.
And if you had questions that you thought of as well, just things that like confused you or you wanted to know like how we would approach them, we're happy to kind of like answer and talk through those things as well.
If nobody else has anything that they want to add right now, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next slide. But again, definitely make sure you guys are utilizing the chat.
Okay, so like we mentioned earlier, this session today is really focused on action. So how can you take action? How can you get involved? Which I think is always like the biggest question for people. Like Noor mentioned, like we want to give people a way to take action on these issues because it's what makes, this work feel meaningful and feel like something that they can actually have an impact on. It's a very big issue, the climate crisis and all of these like ocean conservation issues are so massive that unless we feel like we're making some small dent in the problem, it can be very easy to lose motivation and kind of slow down and not be able to accomplish much. So we do better as a collective when everyone is individually motivated as well as motivated to work together. So as far as individual impact goes, one of the big things that we talked about yesterday was kind of building your personal community and building your knowledge and your education on these issues. So one example of an individual impact that you can take right now is to reach out to someone who you think would be a good peer or mentor, or find someone in your community or your niche area of interest that you can reach out to kind of grow that personal community and that personal network. So feel free to reach out to any of us. We'd all be happy to, help you and point you in the right direction if there's something that you're specifically interested in. But honestly, reaching out to people over social media, email, or even the phone is one of the easiest ways to build connections and start growing your impact in this space. people are very receptive when you say, I really admire the work that you do and I would love to learn more about how you do it, as well as like how I can get involved and, you know, get better at what I'm working on. Because people in this movement especially really want to see everyone around them grow as well. And you might occasionally encounter someone who decides to be a jerk about it, but for the most part, you're going to find some really helpful, supportive people who will build up that community around you and give you a place to kind of branch out from. And it's so much easier to take action at a community, global, regional level when you have the support of your peers and this kind of like support group behind you, because it can be very daunting if you don't feel like you have anyone to lean on. So another way to kind of go about this is to look for communities that you can identify with. Think about, you know, what activism niche you're very passionate about, whether that's like plastic pollution or, you know, ocean acidification, and then look at your age group. Do you have friends in school who might be interested in the same thing, or students from another school? Is there some kind of network or club that you can join? Just looking for ways that you can connect with other people who feel the same way as you do. And Laura's definitely going to talk a lot more about this. But the biggest way that you can take action as an individual is also by living a more sustainable life. And that kind of boils down to looking at ways that you can actually improve the sustainability of your life. And I like to use what's called the measure, understand, analyze, and change process. So what that essentially means is you start out by measuring. You figure out, you know, okay, for example, if you'd like to reduce your plastic footprint, you figure out how much plastic it is that you're actually using on like a weekly or monthly basis, for example. That's step one, measuring. Step two is analyzing. So where is this plastic coming from? You know, why do you have to use a plastic spoon every day? Is it because you eat lunch at a school cafeteria and that's all that they have? Is there a way around this, essentially? What is causing this? What is causing you to be unsustainable in this part of your life? So that is, lost my train of thought. That is understanding. So understanding where the problem comes from. Then you have analyzing. So this is when you figure out, how can I actually fix this, right? So does that mean bringing a metal spoon to lunch instead, or bringing some kind of bamboo utensils? Does it mean maybe just reusing something repeatedly when you have the opportunity to? Or, you know, trying to figure out a way to recycle more or something like that. And then finally, changing is obviously trying to implement that change in your day-to-day life. And this is definitely the hardest step, but if you follow this process beforehand, you'll get a good sense of why this problem exists, as well as is it solvable for you? You know, for some people, if you'd like to be more sustainable by eating less red meat, for example, you know, red meat has a huge carbon footprint, but it's not always the best choice for everyone to do that, because you may have grown up in a household where red meat was very common in the food that you eat. It's what you've grown up eating your entire life. You're very used to and comfortable with the taste of that cuisine. And it would be very difficult and would make you miserable, honestly, to cut that out of your life completely. So based on that, maybe it's a better, more sustainable solution for you personally to choose to cut out plastic instead or something like that. There's always ways to kind of work around what your lifestyle and your situation is to find something that's sustainable for the planet as well as sustainable for you. So now we're going to kind of talk more about this community aspect that I touched on a little bit, and Laura's going to kind of expand on that. And yeah, I'll let her take it from here.
Yes, well, thank you, Apoorva. Going over community action, like Apoorva already covered, one of the best things that you can do to really create action within your community is to reach out to somebody who already is creating action. There are so many different kinds of decision makers in your area, and it works differently depending on where you live. If you live in the United States, if you live in Africa, if you live in Europe, if you live in Asia, it works completely different even within the states of those areas. Not even country, your town might work completely different structurally, and the decision maker hierarchy might be completely different from the town next to yours. So really identifying those key decision makers will really help you figure out who to pinpoint if you want to do something like, let's say the cafeteria at your schools serves all of your lunches on, plastic single-use containers, and you want to change that. Do you go to your school's principal? Do you go to the Board of Education? Do you go to the district? You have to figure out who is the best person to talk to within your community to help you reach those conservation goals. And now I have on the slide here, collaboration is key. No need to reinvent the wheel. Look for opportunities to introduce your communities to one another to expand your network. So the collaboration is key part. I want to focus on that a little bit. There is definitely pressure, particularly within the youth space and youth activism and such, to constantly be one-upping yourself, constantly be looking for the next thing, always starting your own project, having your name on it. And I don't want to discourage anybody from doing that. But before you decide that this is what I'm going to do it all by myself, do something as simple as a Google search of the issue you want to focus on, groups in my area. As simple as that, and just see if there is anybody else who's already working on those issues that you want to focus on, because it's great to have as many organizations and individuals working on the same problems as possible. And sometimes it is necessary to have very similar groups only working on slightly different things. But that mostly depends on the context. You don't want to oversaturate the area with everybody doing the same thing all at once, because first of all, it can get kind of confusing to members of your community if they're trying to, pay attention to all of these different groups all at the same time. But then also, other people who aren't necessarily doing the same work that you're doing, your audience who you are trying to target, a lot of the times they only have the bandwidth in their personal life to support one of these organizations at a time. So if you have the ability to collaborate with other organizations, I definitely recommend doing that. And the other reason for that, like I said, is to introduce your communities to one another and expanding that ecosystem that you have at your fingertips, right? And one of the things that we were talking about yesterday, again, is identifying your niche. Sports teams, religious groups, after school activities. How awesome would it be to have members of all of those communities together in the same room to talk about something that you're passionate about? So really focusing on that, community care idea and making sure that everybody's kind of on the same page is going to be really effective in terms of spreading that message. And then one of the other things that we talked about yesterday in terms of community action was, if you talk about climate change all the time, that's awesome. We need people talking about climate change all the time, but we never really know who we talk to, who of those people is actually going to remember what we say. And, it's kind of unfortunate we don't know, but as long as there's, 1, 2, maybe 3 people who you're able to reach with that message, think about how many people you're going to impact if those 3 people also impact 3 people themselves. So it's just that, constantly expanding network of conservation messaging that is so just the most amazing thing ever. And when you know that you have been able to have a part in spreading that message, it's just a really good feeling. And then when we talk about spreading that network, of course, the next step, like I said earlier, is global action. So I'm going to pass it over to Madison to talk a little bit more about that.
All right, yes. So this one, global action, it may seem a little, far out of reach for the individual, kind of like Apoorva said, we have all these incredibly daunting issues that we are facing. How can I specifically, combat climate change? So it can get very daunting. It's very easy to fall into apathy when, being involved in these issues. And individual action, of course, is extremely important. But we also have to look at, who are the biggest emitters? Like, what is really the root of these problems? And they go hand in hand. So not to say that, we need policy and the corporate action separate from individual action. Both of them definitely go hand in hand. And just before I go too much further into this, I cannot stress enough the importance of reaching out to those people in your circle and in your community. It definitely, that is the greatest thing. That is actually how I met Laura. She is my internet friend. That's how I got involved in the Big Blue and You. That's how I got in touch with Apoorva. So definitely recommend doing that. So to talk a little bit more about what you can do on a bigger scale. So like we mentioned before, policy and decision makers, it's all very different in whatever region you are in. So definitely learn about policy makers in your area, learn about how those decisions are made, how everything can be passed, and try to reach out to your policymakers, because when people see, when people higher up in whatever government or corporation see that young people or anyone is taking time out of their day to reach out and talk about these issues, it definitely resonates with them. It whether they act on it right away or not, if they have a bunch of people reaching out and constantly raising concern about a certain issue, it will resonate with them. So definitely try to get the attention of your representatives if you can, or of larger corporations. And that also includes, like we mentioned, getting your community involved. Because like I said, if they see, whole entire communities or just like groups of people that are passionate about these things, it will eventually start to resonate with them. And unfortunately, like we've said, at least here in the US, a lot of people just mainly care about getting reelected. So if the majority of voters or young people are starting to say, we are concerned about these issues, they might change their way just because they would also like to be get your votes as well. So, but definitely it's important to educate yourself, not only on issues that you necessarily are passionate about or that are occurring in your community, but are occurring at a global scale. So, making sure that you're well aware of as many things as possible, making sure you can advocate for those things, educating yourself about those things, because like I mentioned briefly before, everything is connected. Something that's going on in the Mediterranean Ocean may affect, it will affect us at some point. Everything is connected. All these tiny ecosystems are involved in this global ecosystem. And, making sure that you do that in a way that you don't as well get burned out, because it is very, like we mentioned, overwhelming. There are so many issues going on that are at such a great scale that it can really get overwhelming, and you kind of get pulled to all these different issues, which is more important, which do I want to speak about, which do I want to take action about. So definitely check in with yourself and making sure that you're not getting too burned out as well, because we need as many voices as possible. So let's see what I have written on here. So educate yourself, learn about activism processes in other countries as well. And find an international issue. Social media is a great tool at spreading information. So find, like we said, you don't want to get too overwhelmed by all these issues. So find something different than you can post about. Maybe it's once a day, maybe it's once a week, maybe it's once a month, whatever, you can keep up with, or, even go a step further and, like Apoorva said, mentioning it to people in your circle or in your community that otherwise are not involved. So taking these international issues and localizing them and making people in your community that, may not have knowledge about these things going on across the world is definitely important, because you're raising awareness for these issues, you're sharing information, you're educating others that can then do the same for themselves, So definitely localizing those global issues, using your social media if you can, using your voice if you can. And like we said, it's important to know what you are able to do in your region, in your community, in your country, because, activism processes in the US may be completely different or even illegal in other places. Making sure you're educating yourself. And I think something that's really important before you share information, especially if it's about something that you know very little about, if it's taking place in another part of the world, to just do, a quick little Google search or some research behind that before sharing that information, because you want to make sure that you're sharing, the correct story, the correct information. And when you're taking in all this information, make sure you're aware that, some people do have a narrative to push as well. So what can they gain out of sharing this information in this, certain light? So just keeping, an open mind, staying unbiased in these issues as well is really important. So I think we have some discussion questions that we're going to go into. So we're going to break up into those breakout rooms again. We have 2 discussion questions, so 2 breakout rooms that we're going to do. The first question is, identifying who is someone in your life specifically for you that you can kind of talk to about these issues, and how can you incorporate the message of conservation into your daily life, whether it's someone you live with, whether it's, someone just starting small, maybe it's a dinner table conversation, or if you see someone, mention about recycling, you can give them, a tip. So we're going to break out into those breakout rooms, talk about something in your life specifically. Like, I'd really identify those people that you can start to talk to about these issues.
Yeah. So again, we want to make sure everybody is utilizing the chat. If you have any questions for us while you're in the breakout room, don't hesitate to send that out to us. Apoorva is going to put you in the breakout rooms in just a minute.
Okay, you all should be receiving an invitation to join a breakout room in just a moment. Hello.
Timed perfectly.
Indeed.
By the time we get out of this one and go into the next one, you'll be on your call.
So I think someone else may have to re-randomize the breakout rooms.
Oh, okay. I can attempt that.
Yeah, so you basically just want to say recreate, and then all you have to do is make sure, well, I guess if you're making the rooms, it should be fine, but just make sure that like me, Laura, and you, and the tech volunteer are all in one room, we're not, and then we can like decline joining the room, basically.
Yeah. I keep getting assigned, so I just dip out as soon as I get put in there.
Yeah.
Did what I said make sense? Because I kept like losing my train of thought and forgetting what I said.
It was good, I think. Oops.
I keep yawning and I feel bad because I'm not like bored. I'm just like tired.
No, me too. I keep yawning. I'm trying to hide it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of screen time.
Yeah. My body naturally woke up at like 6:30 this morning too for no reason. So
It's fun. So good.
Yeah, I was up at 6, but I mean, I'm normally up at 6 because my body is used to being up at 3 in the morning.
Wow, that's so
not
early.
normal.
I really
Work is fun. At least I'm not working anymore.
How did your last day go?
Oh yeah, how was that?
Oh, it was good. It was upsetting. I was sad.
Sorry.
And of course on my last tour, we're like almost halfway done. And I didn't like say anything that it's my last day. And this one guy I'm talking about, when we get cubs at the sanctuary, we like bottle feed them and then we walk them on leashes and like all this stuff. And he's like, wow, I can't imagine the emotional attachment you guys must have to these animals. And I was like, yeah, it's actually my last day. I'm like, yeah, it sucks. They're my children, but it's good now. I was sad and I cried a little bit, but
My friend just posted, I met her at the aquarium like close to 2 years ago now, but she moved away. She took a job as like a bird of prey specialist at the Fresno Zoo up north, and she just took a job doing something similar elsewhere though, and she posted on Facebook, she was like, I have 5 days left of work and I'm still crying about how much I'm gonna miss these stupid birds.
it's so hard. It's so bad because you're with like, especially in that job, like I was there more than I wasn't, you know?
Oh
with
yeah,
animals more than
absolutely.
anyone else. I'm with these animals more than anyone else. And you're like caring for them, medicating them, like literally like hand feeding most of them. And then to just be like, bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they're not gonna know why you left, and that's like,
I know. And it's so weird because when I was going around and saying goodbye to everyone, all of them, like there's specific cats that like as soon as they see someone, they're like up at the fence, especially if they like you, they're like wanting to play, they're rubbing up, they're licking you. None of the cats came and moved and said goodbye. None of the animals were like acting around. And apparently for my coworker that left a few weeks ago, she's been there for 3 years. Same thing. She was like, the cats were acting so weird. Like no one would come over to me. Even the fox that she works with every single day, like leash trained him, wouldn't even like bother with her. And I was like, they know. They literally knew that we were leaving. And they were like, fuck you for leaving me. Only two or three cats came up and said hi, but mainly because they were already by the fence. But yeah, I was sad about it. I'm like,
okay, I'm gonna hop off now. Well, not gonna go on mute and stuff. I'll still be here.
You go ahead. We'll talk about how great you are.
Thank you.
I'm gonna pee really quick. They've only been in for about like 5 minutes.
Okay, should we let them back in?
Yeah, they've been in there for about 10 minutes or so. Let me just fix my chair before you do that. Fix myself. I really want to sit back there, dude. But it's so uncomfortable on my hands.
I can't wait for this to be over. This has been like 3 months of the most stressful shit.
I think we worked together pretty well.
Yeah, but it was literally like in December that Danny messaged us like, hey, you want to do this?
Mm-hmm. We have someone in here with us.
Oh.
We're very professional.
It's been a day. Okay, they're coming back. They got like 15 seconds. All right. Everybody's coming back. Awesome, awesome. All right, so we hope you guys had a good little discussion. Who is somebody that it is in your life you can talk to about conservation issues, and how can you bring those messages into your daily life. So if anybody would like to share, you can go ahead again, raise that hand feature, or you can put it in the chat. But does anybody have anything they want to share?
Yeah, so in my group, we mostly talked about the first question about how we can incorporate these conversations into our daily lives, like more specifically people who might not agree with us. And so we talked about just learning everything that we can personally about this subject before basically like preaching to people about it, but also people who don't agree, we need to personalize the issues and make it relevant to them and show them how it's impacting their personal lives. And so, yeah, that's mostly what we spent a majority of our time talking about. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's super awesome, especially the personalizing of these issues. That's a really good like psychological tool to use, particularly for people who don't believe you. And then in terms of like, let's say climate deniers, people who don't believe in climate change, they don't believe that we're harming our planet at all. It's important to be able to, you know, have a conversation without making them feel stupid. And that's kind of where that comes in, because nobody wants to be made to feel that way. So that's super awesome. Thank you guys for touching on that subject. Does anybody else have anything that they want to share?
Yeah, and I'll just add to that because I think like what you mentioned too is making sure that you know a lot about the, you know, topic that you're going to be discussing with someone who doesn't necessarily agree with you is super important as well, because you know you can be really caught off guard and know what they're saying is wrong but have no way of, you know, refuting that. So definitely making sure that you know a lot about what you're going to be discussing, and again making it relate to them, because I've heard so many times like, what does it matter to me if, you know, sharks aren't around, or, you know, what does it matter to me about the climate, or, you know, any of these issues, or what's going on, you know, on another side of the world. And making sure that you can, you know, individualize it like you said, and make them aware that it does have an impact for you and this is why you should care. Whether it's something as silly as, you know, I've had to say, you know, well, if you know sharks go extinct, then this happens, you know, that you're you know, you're going to have to pay more for that seafood that you like to eat, or you know, you're going to have to pay more for your water. So definitely agree with, you know, everything that you said. That's super important.
Yeah, and quick to add on that, I'm interested to see if anybody has any specific resources in terms of education on certain topics. If you guys want to go put that in the chat, I'm actually going to go grab a book really quick that I do want to share with you. Give me 1 second.
I have a feeling that it's going to be the same book that I was about to grab, which is, it's super helpful. I'm assuming that's going to be the same one. But Laura and I also have a list of resources that we might put into the chat as well, you know, different books and documentaries that you can watch that are super helpful. So I may find that and link that into the chat as well after.
Yes, so for anybody who is interested, this book is, she knew. This is one of the best resources that I personally have come across. It's called How to Change Minds About Our Changing Climate and Other Arguments It's Time to End for Good. It's a pretty small read, pretty short. I'll put the information for this in the chat, but in terms of going through each argument individually about climate change specifically, this one is really awesome. And then a second book that I have is called Oceana, which was written by Ted Danson, who's an American actor. But this is more of more infographics and imagery, and it's all more ocean specific based. So for visual learners like myself, this book is super helpful. I'll put all of this information into the chat. But if anybody doesn't have anything to add to the first question, we're going to go ahead and move on to the second question. Okay, thank you, Maggie, so much for joining
Thank you for joining us.
But yes, so the second question, is there a species, ecosystem, or environmental issue that you feel passionate about protecting? How can you further educate and spread awareness to those who may not feel the same way? So it's similar to the last question, but this one is a little bit more specific, and you can talk more localized to issues that impact you and your community specifically. So Madison, I don't know if you want to put them into the rooms. We'll give you guys a little bit more time. And again, please let us know if there's anything you want to talk about in the chat.
Okay, so you should be getting a notification to join a breakout room. Let me know if you're not getting these notifications. I can redo it. This is my first time. Okay, I think that worked, right? Everyone's in here. Oh, our tech volunteers in 2 rooms. Hi.
I hope those messages in the chat actually go to the whole thing when they come back, because I know it just goes to us for now. But
yeah, it should.
Okay.
It's so funny because as soon as she mentioned that, like how to, like make sure you know a lot, I was literally gonna grab my book. It's in the closet, and then you were like, I'm gonna grab a book. I was like, I know.
Hive mind. It's the hive mind.
That book is amazing though. Do you know how many times like that worked? After I read that book, my dad could not say anything to me. Nothing.
Oh, because literally like argument by argument. Yeah.
I was like, oh, you said this? Hold on, let me scroll. Okay, I'm gonna admit this person. Wait, what happened? Sign you to LinkedIn. I think it's going pretty smoothly.
Definitely.
Victor hasn't said anything.
He hasn't. I know. I'm like, wow.
I kind of forgot he was here. Okay, I got one cat on one side and I have one cat on the other side. It's my kitties. I picked them up.
I think Mason has both of them in the other room.
We only put them in there like a minute ago, right? So not even.
Yeah.
Just trying to keep track.
Oh, cute. You want Queer Eye?
Yeah.
Tan France.
I love him.
He and his partner are having a baby via surrogate.
Oh my God.
So cute. He just posted this.
Oh my God, I love him. I feel bad because like, oh wait, let me move Veronica because someone left her room.
You're back.
Hi.
That wasn't that long.
No, it was good. She's very timely, the other person, so she got off quickly, but I was like sitting here, I just had my computer on mute, like the volume muted as well. Also, Laura, I'm not sure if what you sent the How to Change Minds. I think it just went to us.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it'll show up. I'm gonna ask if it did or not, but I put it in there anyway.
Because, like, for some reason, when it does breakout rooms, it's essentially like mini Zoom meeting. So, like, the chats don't like mingle essentially, which is super annoying. So, if you want to, like, you can broadcast it, and then I think everyone would see it, but they can't really like
The
save it.
broadcast doesn't stay though.
Yeah, that's the issue. How'd it go though? You guys seemed like you were having a good time.
Yeah, Maddie Peacock, she's super awesome.
Who?
Talked about books. I know her from Instagram. I don't know her in person.
I follow her. She tagged us, so I looked and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, it's cute.
Yeah. She seems cool. I've followed her for a while actually, because I know someone that knows her, and so but that's nice. She tagged us.
Mhm.
A post or a story post or
Story, yeah.
okay. Interesting. Yeah, people have honestly been like super nice throughout this whole
Yeah,
thing.
it's really sweet.
It is sweet indeed. I hate social media. I'm sorry.
That's the curse.
Oh, it just drives me nuts. Like,
Oh, I'm already thinking of what I'm gonna eat.
I desperately want to take a nap. Oh my god, that's literally me talking in the thing.
What?
The thing, I don't know what it's called.
The boomerang.
Yeah, the story she made. That thing.
That thing. That thing. That thing.
Woo woo woo. Woo woo woo.
We're losing it.
It's actually really nice sometimes when you like share something on your story and then you can see that like other people like saw that you shared it and then they reshared it. Like it's just me.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Social media is definitely it's a blessing and a curse for sure.
Indeed. Danny does it so much. Like she does
God,
so much. I don't know how.
I have no idea.
It's really crazy. And I remembered like God, so many times just sitting in a random cafe and like some boony ass Miami suburb just eating coffee for 12 hours sitting on a laptop with her talking about social media strategy. Like
Wow.
I when I first met her, she had sub 10K followers. And like I think I mentioned this yesterday, she hired Corinne right before I left. So I think having like an assistant to actually, do half of the shit for her so she doesn't have to keep constantly worrying about it is super fucking helpful.
Yeah, I would hate to be that person, but like there's definitely people that enjoy that, and I might enjoy it if that was like what I was doing, that was all I was doing, like, but doing it in addition to other things is
No.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is like she's not an influencer. Like she is a scientist, she is a communicator, like she actually has like a job outside of social media, which not a lot of like influencers
Yeah,
do.
that's like just what they do.
Yeah.
it'd be like that.
It's falling over. It's fine. You're fine.
Not the falling.
Fully fell. Look at them.
I love.
I needed to stretch. My ass was falling asleep.
I do feel that. I love that you're in shorts though. That seems very comfortable.
Oh, also same. I'm like literally just in my pajama pants.
Wait, actually though, like flannels.
Yeah.
I was telling Laura my uncle was cracking up because I came out yesterday in like this like tie shirt and I like looked all professional and had these shorts on. Like, what the hell?
There's no other correct way to do Zoom but while wearing pajama pants.
Why would I put jeans on? For what reason?
Effort? Nah.
Okay, let's see. So we have, oh, okay. So then just that and then the final questions. What time is it? Oh, we're actually making good time.
We are.
I feel like this one lasted longer.
Yeah, even though we had more slides and more breakout rooms last time.
I think we had more to talk about. Like,
Yeah.
I just think we had more to talk about, and that made a difference.
Okay, I'm gonna say.
Y'all, I'm applying for this like grant thing, and like for my project, but my project is all virtual, and they like, include pictures. I'm like, what pictures? Like, you want to Zoom screenshot?
Yeah, no, literally just put the picture that
You
took
should-
this morning.
It's adorable, you know, but like I don't know what they mean, because I know like other people have like, oh, they're like, you know, planting trees and it's all this like beautiful imagery, and I'm like,
I mean, if it's a virtual
just
thing,
me in a room.
yeah, just that's kind of interesting. What do they want like pictures of?
they were like at least one picture of you and like pictures of you doing your service activity. It's the Gloria Barron Prize. I don't know if you guys have heard of that.
It sounds mildly familiar.
I like know people, I think, that have won it before. It's like a yearly thing. It's for like youth. It's like, I don't know, 13 to 18 or something. But like this is my last year to apply. And like I haven't had a project before and I didn't know about this thing. But like it's like $10,000 and the money would be fantastic. So it'd be like that.
As well, yeah.
But I don't know, like 25 people a year or something win it, which is like good odds, I feel like, but I feel like a lot of people also apply. So it's like, you know,
What?
it really just depends on whether or not the judges like appreciate the value of whatever it is that you're doing. Like,
Yeah.
That's always hard to gauge too. Should we let them in or
how
what time
much
did they go
time?
in?
They've been in for like 10 minutes. Less than 10 minutes. It was 10:15. I think they went in.
We can wait
Okay.
a bit then.
Yeah, give them another minute. Ah, I hit my knee.
I have so much shit to do for work. But I don't want to do any of it. And I already told Bill yesterday that like I'm gonna get most of my hours in Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for this week. So I don't feel like I have to do anything. Because I really just want to take a nap.
You should take a nap.
She's like, you should take a nap. I did yesterday too. I went on my computer to go through like all my GoPro stuff. And then I just laid down. I was like, no, I've been on the computer too long.
I'm like, it's definitely bittersweet that we're like almost done with this. Because when you were gone, Apoorva, I was like to Madison, it's crazy that this has been like a 4-month, close to 5-month ordeal at this point, just trying to just make this happen.
And now, like, here it is. Laura, do you have your GoPro stuff from La Jolla? Because remember when we actually found the leopard shark and I thought I was recording, but I pressed stop recording?
Yeah. I can do some stuff. I have to like go and find it.
It's not like important, like time sensitive, but if you have it at any point, send it to me.
Yeah.
So I was going through and I have a picture. I have a 1-second video and you can just see like the shadow of it. And then I have a video of me coming up and like trying to press stop recording, but I pressed record and I was like,
yeah.
Our GoPros
Okay.
are
I'm gonna
good
look.
cameras.
Okay.
Are GoPros like good cameras? I don't
It
think-
depends.
yeah, mine's pretty old. Mine's like, I got mine my junior year of high school. So I could use a new one.
Oh, TBT to when mine broke. Madison was staying over at my house and it broke the night before we were going down to the Keys for like a huge dive. So we went to a Walmart and I dropped like close to $400 on a camera.
And we were running around trying to find a GoPro.
Yikes. What are you using it for? Just like diving stuff?
Yeah, pretty much. I think I've decided I'm gonna use the head strap instead of the arm because my arm broke and the footage is so shaky.
Mm.
All right, people coming back in. They have 20 seconds left. Okay.
Looks like we're still going strong.
All right, so we should have most of our friends back.
Yep.
Coming in slowly but surely. I did post the title of both of these books in the chat. If somebody wants to let me know if you actually received that message,
You can just do a thumbs up react.
Yeah, I can put it back in the chat. Please let me know. I'll just put it again. It's okay.
Okay, so that was you. So in the second discussion breakout room, we were talking about more specifically if there's something you're passionate about, whether it's an environmental issue or a species or an ecosystem, and what you can further do, specifically to educate yourself and spread awareness to those who may not, feel the same way about these things that you do. So if anyone wants to share what you guys talked about in your room, you can go for it. Use that little raise your hand up. You can unmute yourself.
So we had quite a few discussions in the breakout room. I'll start with what I was saying because I'll know more about it because it's me, and then I'll touch upon briefly what others discussed. So the environmental issue that I feel passionate about is waste, and how we can reduce our waste, but also how we can look at waste as an opportunity to create something else. So for example, I've been really researching into ways that different people around the world have used waste to create something new. So I found high school students using banana peels or the banana stem to create energy. And they were trying to find ways to scale this up. I've seen different people using waste to create packaging, other products, and how I feel that I can spread awareness to those who might not feel the same way. The same thing that happened to me is kind of when you see stories of different people around the world using everyday objects that we kind of discard and they create it into something useful, that really inspires you to kind of look around and think, oh, what can I do with this waste that I've discarded today? What can I make out of it? So that was what I'm passionate about, what I spoke about. In our session, we brought up certain species. So a tiger species, the Royal Bengal tiger. Someone brought that up. They want to protect that species. We talked about fish as well and water, and specifically how we're taught that water is an abundant resource, but we see that around the world, so many people don't have access to this because of corruption, because of ineffective governance of the water supply. So yeah, that's what we discussed. And if anyone in my breakout room would like to further elaborate on their points, that would also be nice.
Yes, definitely. Thank you for sharing. And I think that's an important thing that you mentioned about the water, that, we think of it as this, abundant resource, but even if locations do have that resource, they don't always have access to it because of, it may not be environmental issues, it may be government issues as well, which is also something to really keep in mind and to advocate for. I don't know if anyone else from her breakout room wanted to add on to that, or if it's from the other breakout room.
It sounds like you guys had a really awesome discussion, so we would definitely love to hear from as many of you as possible.
Or you can write it in the chat if you don't want to unmute yourself.
I think Noor covered most of the discussion, so we don't have any further discussions. Thank you.
Excellent, awesome.
And just as kind of a side note, but if you guys would like to stay in touch with each other, definitely, drop your contact information in the chat if you feel comfortable. And we'd definitely be happy to reach out and connect with you. There'll actually be a slide in a little bit that has all of our contact information. So you guys can definitely reach out to us if you'd ever like to connect and stay in touch.
And speaking of ways to get involved, we have some QR codes here. If you guys just hold up your phone to the screen, you take a picture, it should automatically send you to the website. The first QR code in the red will take you to a site to sign up for something called the Rising Blue Network newsletter, which is by World Ocean Day. And so I mentioned at the beginning of this session that I am the World Ocean Day Youth Advisory Council coordinator. And so the biggest event that we have coming up, other than actual World Ocean Day, which is on June 8th, is called Youthathon, which is June 5th and 6th, so the weekend right before World Ocean Day. And Youthathon is a 24-hour live stream of youth-based conservation content from all over the world. And we had our first Youthathon this summer. It was super, super awesome. We had participants from over 130 different countries. So it was a really, really excellent event. And if you want to keep updated on all things Youthathon and World Ocean Day, definitely check out that QR code in the red. And then the next QR code is just for World Ocean Day. Earth Day is in like 8 days from now, but World Ocean Day is basically the ocean's version of Earth Day. And so we have a toolkit actually on our website that you can go click on, and it'll help all sorts of inspiration if you would like to plan your own event in your area. You can also check to see if there are existing events happening in your area. And then if you do decide to plan your own event, you can then register your own event and then see it pop up on a little map on that webpage. So we already have some from a couple of different continents, which is really, really exciting. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely check out the QR code. And then the other two, I'm gonna let Madison and Apoorva talk about.
Yeah, so my QR code, which is the third one from the left, it's the like turquoise one there, is for my organization Youthify. And Youthify, like I mentioned before, is a global community for youth environmentalists. And the idea is really to be a support group and amplification system for the wonderful work that all of you young, environmental advocates out there are doing. So if you've ever felt alone as a young person, kind of, who's passionate about the environment and working in this movement, then this is really a great place for you to find that sense of community, as well as find support, encouragement, advice, answers to your questions from your peers. And, if you're looking to expand the impact of a project that you have or something like that, it's a great place to kind of share that out, as well as get kind of feedback from other people, allow them to hear about your project, and kind of just like spread the word. So that is the QR code to join that. I will also drop a link in the chat for our link tree, where you can find like all the important links that we've got going on. But yeah, I'll toss it over to Madison to talk about Big Blue and You.
All right, so like we mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, this is what kind of unifies myself, Laura, and Apoorva. We've all been involved in the Big Blue and You at one point or another. It is a super great organization. It is currently only US based. We do plan on expanding hopefully further sometime soon, but it is mainly about, involving the youth in caring about and becoming inspired by the ocean, and mainly using, art and media to connect them with science as well. So we put on an event every year called Artsy, Art by the Sea, where we get, a lot of young people, a lot of younger kids, a younger audience. And, we have scientists there. We also have artists there. We have music groups there. So it's a really great organization. It may not be in your country right now, but definitely still check us out. We have that QR code. We have the Instagram, their website. It is a super great organization to try to get involved with. And I think the first place they plan on expanding to is the Caribbean, if I'm correct. But yeah, super great organization. I know we can all kind of talk about that for a little bit, but that's pretty much for the Big Blue and You.
I want to add, for those of you who are not aware, Big Blue and You was co-founded by a woman named Dani Washington. She is the first African-American woman to ever host an American science TV show. She is somebody who has touched and inspired my life, Apoorva's life, Madison's life. So we want to give her a shout out as well. I just sent her website in the chat, so did Apoorva right at the same time. So we definitely recommend go giving her a follow. She is actually the reason that the three of us are speaking to all of you today. She was the one who invited us to come in and have this opportunity to talk to all of you. So we definitely want to make sure that you all check out her content as well. She's always doing something really amazing and impactful. So that being said, here on the last slide, that is Apoorva's Instagram, my Instagram, Madison's Instagram, Youthify's Instagram, and Big Blue and You's Instagram. If any of you want to stay in touch, feel free to post any of your contact information again in the chat. And then if anybody has any final questions, please let us know. Yeah.
Or anything that you wanted to talk about that you think is important that we missed, or wanted to go over again, definitely, write in the chat, raise your hand. Yeah.
Or, any questions you have for us about our experiences. Doesn't have to be related to the presentation specifically, but it was so great being here with all of you today.
Yeah, I know each one of us can definitely, if you're looking for more info, if you're looking for advice in, the activism community, the ocean community, each one of us, we've been involved pretty heavily. I know, for the majority of our lives. So if you have any questions for us specifically, definitely ask them. We are definitely open to answering some of those for you.
And if you think of them later, we can all drop our emails or something in the chat, so you can always reach out to us over social media or email if you think of something later that you'd like to ask.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Fahad, and I'm activist from Bangladesh. I'm a climate activist, actually. So it's been a really, really amazing discussion. Love that. And I have a confession to make. Like, I really haven't added this in my agenda. I had another session, I have missed it. So I went through surfing and I found you guys, and I just stuck with you. So, and I really loved it. It doesn't mean I stuck with, I really loved your discussions. Like, I couldn't, after reaching here, I couldn't surf in other places. So it's really amazing. Yes, I had one small request to you guys, that if you have any further presentation, like, volunteers and people, people who are attending in this conference, or like we are attending in 3 and 4 sessions in a day. And we are like literally sitting in front of the laptop for 8 hours to 6 hours. So this is not a negative, just is it possible for you to increase the font size a little bit? Because we tend to have a look at the presentation and they're pretty small in terms of my screen. It's not that big, it goes small with all the presentation list and stuff. So if you could please take care of that. And otherwise, I really loved everything about you guys. You guys are really amazing.
Yeah, we'll keep that in mind for next time. We appreciate the feedback, but thank you so much. I'm happy you enjoyed our presentation for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming and sticking with us too.
And I also wanted to know that it's yes, it's 1:40 a.m. here.
Oh my
So
goodness.
you can imagine how much I loved your discussions. Like otherwise, I would
that's so
never stay
sweet.
awake. And
Oh my gosh, thank you. That's crazy.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Dedicated.
Well, go to sleep now. Go get some rest.
actually, I can't. Ramadan is starting from today. So after I have only 1 hour for Sehri, so I'm gonna stay awake, I guess.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my goodness.
And to all of you guys, it's happy Ramadan, Ramadan Mubarak.
Happy Ramadan.
Happy Ramadan, yes.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us. If there's no other further questions, we'll let you all go. But again, if you're interested, please stay in touch with us on Instagram. And I hope you all have a good rest of your evening, afternoon, morning, depending on where you are in the world. We really appreciate you spending time with us today.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a really great rest of your day, rest of your week, and happy Earth Day.
Happy Earth Day.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Is our tech volunteer still here?
I don't know.
Oh, I think I can save this to Google Drive. The chat this whole time.
Cute. Yay.
Yay.
Sorry, I don't know what this is, but I just feel like wiggling a bit, so,